Hello. So this is the second half. So we will have three talks from Percona, Pinterest, and Microsoft. First, let's welcome George from Percona.
Hey guys. Oop. Yeah, there's my clicker. How do you top that? Mark's presentation. My name's George Lorch. I'm a senior software engineer with Percona, and I'm the technical lead over the TokuDB and MyRocks project. I'm just here today to talk to you a little bit about what we're doing, how we're doing it, why we're doing it, and where we're at. So, what are we doing? Oh yeah, these. We're porting MyRocks from Facebook MySQL 5.6 into Percona Server with the ultimate goal being Percona Server 5.7. So the issue is that if you're familiar at all with Facebook MySQL, you're aware that it's got a lot of different patches and things added to it over and above stock Oracle MySQL. Percona Server is based a lot more on the straight upstream MySQL with our own patches and some of our own implementations of some of the same features. So the goal is to surgically pull MyRocks out of the Facebook codebase, implant it in Percona Server, and fix up the various places where there's impedance mismatches. Why are we doing it? It's a good question. Mark actually gave the answer in this previous talk. It's about time is why we're doing it. Percona has been a champion of RocksDB for a while in the MongoRocks product. We released it with our first version of Percona Server for MongoDB. That was last year, I think it was now. And our purpose really is in the open source market, is that we believe in open source. All of our products are open source, and we believe that by including MyRocks with Percona Server, we'll get it to a broader audience. It will get more people with their hands on it, more people that have a chance to actually tear it apart and say, you know, look, this doesn't work in this workload, it works over here. So how are we going about it? This is actually an interesting process. It would seem that the natural thing to do would go straight from Facebook MySQL 5.6 to Percona Server 5.7. But because of the mismatches, we decided that we're going to actually go to Percona Server 5.6 first because the two code bases have got a much closer common ancestry. There's fewer diffs. And what it'll allow us to do is to identify and isolate the differences between the two code bases without the 5.6 to 5.7 stuff getting in the way. So we'll know by the time we're done with the 5.6 port that we know exactly what was wrong, what was right, and what we need to do. Our goal with this is to produce a compilable, testable set of source code and a binary that probably is going to have a lot of stuff commented out or if-defed out before we start our port to 5.7. So that's the what, why, and how. Now, status update. So our ultimate goal is Percona 5.7. So our experience, I was mentioning this to somebody else here earlier, from porting TokuDB last year. We went from 5.6 to 5.7. It took us about 4 months, give or take, with probably 2.5 engineers on it, full time. But at that point, we didn't know what we were doing with that. We didn't know what to expect. We didn't have a bullet-pointed list of every API, every name, everything that changed from 5.6 to 5.7. Now we do. And we've also got 2 commit points that we can, on TokuDB, that we can take and diff, and it will literally tell you exactly what changed. So we've actually got a really good start with this. We're anticipating a compilable, usable branch of 5.7 by around the end of Q1 2017. It's aggressive, but we think we can do it. We'd like to have something out there and ready for people to be able to kick around and play with about the time that the Percona Live conference comes up. We're going to continue development on it, probably forever, I guess. I don't know. But we're definitely continuing on through 2017 with periodic refreshes and some package drops. So the import progress, the import's done, the basic import. You can go out to GitHub right now, Percona Server, and you'll see RocksDB sitting in the trees in 5.6 and 5.7, but it doesn't compile by default. And if you try to compile it, it won't compile anyway. so don't do that right now. What we've done is, this goes back to a side project that I started way back in May of this year to try this out. We brought over the code base, and we actually identified specifically what feature touch points were missing or different between Percona Server and Facebook. And we identified about 25 or 30 different things that were different. Some were so minor, it was like just a minor const correctness thing in the server code versus upstream that caused a compile error. But others were, oh, hey, guess what? Binlog group commit is totally different between the two. So things like that were, we've got everything between two extremes. So we started off with the working branch that basically if-def'd around, tiptoed around all of the different issues and got the thing to compile. That actually didn't take too long. And along that way, we wrote up all these different issues. It's like we got to come back and touch these. So now we've gone through, I want to say about 15 or 16 of them, fixed, merged them to the master branches, and also merged them back to the working branch. With that working branch now, we've got about 80% of the basic suite, the MTR suite running. And the ones that are not is this stuff. So if these were addressed, and probably one or two other small things, we would likely be passing about 100% of the suite. So now our decision is, we fixed a bunch of smaller stuff and one or two bigger things. We've got this left. What are we doing next? Are we going to stay on with 5.6, finish this out to the end, or are we just going to go ahead and start the port to 5.7 and then jump and address this stuff in 5.7 only? So the answer is maybe. There's a couple of those. It's actually kind of a manpower thing. There's a few of the issues on there that, if fixed in 5.6, just port straight to 5.7, no problem. But there's also a couple that, if we fix them in 5.6, we kind of have to refix them in 5.7. So it's like, since we're not releasing 5.6, we might just skip it and just go straight to 5.7. So this is what's coming up. We've got, of course, on the horizon is 8.0, which is, for us with MyRocks, is at least a year, if not more out, at least, because there's some pretty big changes in 8.0. The port from Percona Server 5.6 to 5.7 is, I'm going to be doing it, and it is very likely to start as soon as we return from holiday in January. The packaging work that will allow you to actually install things directly from packages is going to happen as soon as I've actually got a compiling branch on 5.7, because there's a whole Jenkins infrastructure thing that we have to do to make that happen. And once we have packages, we'll start with experimental alphas and betas. So we're targeting end of Q1, early Q2. Again, that's really aggressive, but that's the nature of this project. Ultimately, we're looking for stability and full feature completeness, where you can look at the grid and compare all the engines side by side and check off and know which one supports what, which one doesn't, and how well they do different things. Along this path, we'll probably be working with Mark and his team as well to get some benchmarks, side-by-side things done. He's, if you followed him, he's great at tearing stuff apart, building it up. You can get a benchmark, and he's actually helped me find bugs in TokenDB. So thanks, Mark. So that's really my update. That's where we're at. Not as fancy as and grand as the other presentations here today that were phenomenal, and thank you, Facebook, for having us. Of course, we're hiring. I'm not allowed to go anywhere without putting that slide up. I think some of the others are too. And I was asked by not one, not two, but 5 different people today to mention that we still need good talks, even though the call for papers is closed, good talks surrounding any use of RocksDB, MyRocks, MongoRocks for Percona Live. If you have an idea, if you have a use case, anything that sounds interesting that you can think you would want to deliver a talk, let me know. I'll get you in touch with the people at the conference committee, and we'll get you a paper submitted in the back door. That's coming up in April, right up the street here in Santa Clara. So that's it. Thanks, guys.